Today on my channel, Planner Friends, I'm going to show you the first 2 weeks in my faith study in my new Erin Condren A5 Rings Planner. I decorated it extensively, and I used stencils for the decoration and a little bit of washi, so I really kept my costs down with the decorating. I will read through the verses that I studied, explain what I'm studying, and hopefully inspire you in both your creativity and in your faith. So please stay tuned, friends. Hello, planner friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm One Crafty Dolo, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. Thank you for taking your time and spending it with me. Today, on Sundays, on my channel, it's always about Jesus, faith study, Bible journaling, with a good cup of tea, often in a ridiculous mug. So today, I want to share with you 2 weeks in a new faith planner that I have. I am continuing my study, so it's my pleasure to show you what I've done, both in terms of aesthetically decorating it, but also in terms of the study itself. So if you're new, you're welcome to subscribe and tap the notification bell. If you're returning, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. I appreciate your comments, your likes, everything. So without further ado, let me show you this. This is an Erin Condren A5, and I find this space to be very peaceful. I guess part of it's the colors. I don't know, but I find this to be a very peaceful space. I created this, although some of the letters seem to be popping up a little bit, so I'll have to tack them down. But I created this with molding paste and paint. I can link that video if you'd like on how I decorated it. I wanted texture, so I did that, and I'm looking forward to using it again. I created this pocket. So this is the Wildflowers layout, and I really do like it. I have to say, the creamy color, it just, yeah. I created this dashboard to focus on, you know, every month now I create a verse, put a verse in here to kind of remind me of what I'm doing, who I am, whose daughter I am, etc. I think that's an important point to all these studies. So how I decorated, I'm going to show you how I decorated and explain it a little bit, and then get down to the verses and the study. First off, I wanted to do something a little different, and I like stencils. So years ago, I picked up these stencils. It's a pack of 12. It's available on Amazon. I don't know if it's still available, but you can see you've got boxes, you've got little, you know, designs and flourishes, you've got some lettering. It's really great. It was, at the time, it was $6.99. I don't know what it would be now. Should be this way. Okay, you get the idea. I'll try to find it, but again, I don't know what the price might be now. And you can see these boxes. I also used stencils I picked up primarily at Hobby Lobby. This is a border, and you'll see how I used this in the planner. And then there were these two, and these were only $1.49 each. I don't remember what this cost, but it says $1.99, so whether I got it on sale or not, I honestly don't remember, but it was a good buy. And the other stencil I used is this. These are all vines from scrapbook.com. Stenciling, using stencils in your planner, is a fairly low-cost way to do things. I do use stickers and so forth. You can see I have washi in here, but I also like to find lower cost ways to decorate. So what I did in this first one, as you can see, I used the star stencil, and then I created boxes for the verses. That's different than what I did last year. I was highlighting the verse and just writing it in here. So I took up more space in the planner to really work on my verse knowledge. And you can see that border stencil is right there. This is just from a regular stencil, and then I did the same thing, and here I have these words and these reminders. This is next week. I haven't gotten to it yet, obviously. Incidentally, this washi is old, and it is true. If you don't use your washi, it is a problem, because guess what happened? I don't know if you can see it. It ripped. I tried to lift it a little bit to move it, and it ripped the page. I was like, oh no. But I used, oddly enough, and I used this glue here to just tack the page together again, and it worked. So this is that scrapbook.com stencil, and I have these. I thought this was a good combination, and using that washi. And then this is the last week, and I had fun again, just inking the stencils and using a little bit of washi for decor. So the study that I've been using, is one from the Daily Grace Co. I like their studies. I feel that come Ash Wednesday, I'll be entering my 3rd year of faith studies and journaling, and it's been a life-changing thing for me. As I've grown in my studies, I feel I've gotten better at learning and understanding, and I also feel like this is what I would call a meaty study. And what it does is it shows you how to apply the gospel to pretty much every it does. It shows you how to apply the gospel to every area of your life. So this past week was the previous week was the gospel and friendship, and then I have that wrong. This week was the gospel and friendship, and the previous week was the gospel and community, and the next week will be the gospel and work. It's set up as a 1-month study, and then you do this every day, but that's not what I'm doing. I can't do that. I'm not that proficient. I want to go through it slowly so I fully understand it. Every study, you have multiple verses to read before you get into it, and then in the body of the text, it often has more verses. So I'm trying to really learn. And so, no, I can't do this in a day. There's no way. No. So the first week, it was really focusing on, how do I explain it? It's the gospel and community and what we're commanded to do. Okay, so I need to put a reminder for y'all in here, because apparently, like me, you forget the obvious. You are a daughter of the King. You represent him. You are his creation. Therefore, if you don't always get it, if you don't always understand it, if you fall behind, if you stop and you need to start again, guess what? You're still beloved. Not just loved, beloved. And I'm showing you all these to inspire you, because that negative mantra that the world throws at you all the time, it's a constant thing from the time you're born. This is the counterpoint to that, in my opinion. So in Mark 12:30, Jesus said, "And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength." I'm sure if you've been to church, you do know that. And then we pivot a little bit to John 15:1, and this is the vine, and he says, "I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine dresser." Then further down in John 15, "You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and your fruit should abide." And I just added abide down there. I like the aesthetic of this. Incidentally, I think it's not a vine, but yet I think it works. Another verse is Romans, "So faith comes from hearing, and hearing through the word of Christ." So the importance of loving God, embracing Jesus, knowing that you're chosen to do so, and what your faith should revolve around. And then if I quote the study itself, I do use quotes just like I do with the Bible passages. If not, I'll put a little arrow for my own kind of takeaway. And as I said, as we read the Gospels, we see that Jesus' mission was preaching, through which he showed people the truth of his life and message from God. And Mark 12:31, the second is this. So the first is loving the Lord your God. The second is, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no greater commandment than these two. So I just ended, since Jesus was preaching, we're supposed to share his message, which is, the gospel and the community. So this, we go into a completely different color scheme. This washi was Simple Stories. I don't know if I mentioned that. So you've got the blues and the yellows. Here we have the pinks and the grays. And this is about the gospel and friendship. And this is important. I have a very dear friend who I've been friends with for decades, and we share our belief in God, and it binds us together in a way that others, I don't necessarily have that bond with. It's amazing what a difference that sometimes makes. So Philippians 2:3, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility, keyword, count others more significant than yourselves. And we go down a verse. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Here we have Romans. I put an extra verse here. Love one another with brotherly affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. So this week is really humility and honor were the key words I took from it. And I said Jesus walked with and in great humility, as we should with one another. And I like that a lot, because I always think that humility is the most underrated, well, next to chastity, of course, but chastity is, nobody's, most people are, whatever. We're not going to go down there. Let's leave that. But humility, people forget about. The world is so focused on its definition of success and climbing the ladder, the career ladder, the life ladder, the status ladder, that humility is just kicked out the door. And I think if people walked more in humility, myself sometimes included, I've gotten better with time, but it's something to really carry with you, and less focus on the self and selfish, more on compassion and care. I like those two words. Then we have Psalm 34:14, turn away from evil and do good, and seek peace and pursue it. And I think that's an interesting thing in here, because the idea of pursuing peace, not only seeking it, but pursuing it, making peace something we actively pursue in our relationship with ourselves and with others. And how do we do that? Focusing less on ourselves and what the world defines as success, I would think, right? And this is from the text. We are called not to outdo one another in prestige, but in showing honor to the other. And that really hit home, because I just think about everybody gets a bigger house, everybody gets a bigger car, bigger, better. And in the end, well, you grow old theoretically. And yeah, so anyway. And then finally, another verse continuing on in Philippians 2, have this mind among yourselves, which is yours in Christ Jesus. So in other words, he's saying these two tenets are bedrocks of Jesus's mission here on earth and in heaven, and that's important for us and how we apply it to others. Whew, that's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to digest, and you can see why. I hope you can see why I can't do this in a day. It's just not going to happen. So I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks. The other thing I did was excuse me, let me grab some tea. There's a note section in the back of this planner. So what I did is I brought an extra page, and I probably should have started here, but like hindsight is 20/20. But I'm extrapolating more from what I read these past 2 weeks. God's commandments through Jesus. Love God with all our hearts. Love your neighbors. How do we relate to those around us through the gospel? And you know what? I'm gonna kind of underline that. Intent matters. And I see that over and over again. Don't look at people, situations, or relationships through the lens of self-interest. The virtue of humility. Really important one. Jesus walked, lived, and died in a spirit of humility. Also, the role of honor in our relationships. And I thought this was important. I'm going to cry. My parents raised us with honor. How grateful am I? And they really did. And I'm thankful for that, amongst many things. So, sorry there, I get emotional. So that's it, friends. This is, so far in this new planner, I do love the paper. I gotta admit, I was kind of crushed when it tore, but the washi is very old, so much for that washi, I guess. But I will keep you posted. Maybe one day we'll do a decorate with me, but I hope I inspired you. I hope you enjoy how I decorated. I hope you appreciate the messages I'm bringing to you, but I also want to inspire you in your faith and in your creativity. And remember, friends, creativity doesn't have to be expensive. So thank you for being here, and please, friends, have a blessed week. Oh, and I can't wait to show you, incidentally, This is my petite planner from Erin Condren. I'm using it as a prayer journal. I want to do more in it, more days in it, and then I'll do a video on it. All I'm going to say is this has been transformative as well. And I'm so glad I did a prayer journal because I really needed that. Just like I need my studies. I cannot tell you enough how many times that these have made a huge difference to my life. So thank you again, friends. Have a blessed, blessed week. I appreciate you as always. Bye, planner friends.